Thank you, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. Committee of the Whole agenda for June 9th. Time is 4:30 p.m. Disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. If you have anything to declare at the time, please do so. Moving forward into Section 4B Finance, Employee Benefit Renewal Report to Council. Benefit Renewal 2025. Brandy, I believe this is you.
Yep, so we had our annual benefit renewal come up and the current provider proposed a 29.1 increase and it was negotiated down to 17.7. We went to market because of the large increase and we got 3 quotes, and one of them came in 100,789 lower than the proposed increase from the current provider, and also has some price caps and guarantees in it, and also has an added value service of an employee assistance program. So we are recommending to change providers to RBC Insurance, and we have a resolution to go to council.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Randy, what did you mean by price caps? What does that include?
So they have, well, actually, there's a couple price guarantees and caps, so that say, so next year they say they won't go above this price. See if I can find it here. Okay, so pooled guarantee, LTD and life are guaranteed for 3 years. Experience adjustment, experience guarantee, 2 times 10% cap on overall premium. And that's all I see here. So it's nice in the sense that you can, a lot of times when you go to market, you get lowballed, and then the next year it skyrockets. So this gives a little guarantee that some of the rates are going to be.
Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I almost said Martin. Brandy, when you have this decrease of $100,000, where does that money go in the budget? Like
Out of benefits.
But does it go somewhere else within the budget in your department, or?
Well, we'll talk about that when the budget comes up. Basically, it goes wherever it's needed.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council? Seeing none, so we'll be looking forward to a resolution that we'll take a look at the next council meeting. Thank you. Moving on, 2025 budget changes and options.
Missed one.
I believe this is also you, Brandy.
Okay, so I was directed to bring back some options for different rate increases. We had a lot going on since the last meeting, so there are a lot more changes than expected. We had some tenders close. We didn't get a lot of submissions, and they were extremely higher than originally budgeted for. So they're under review to see, you know, do we have to retender? Do we change the project? Do we negotiate? All that kind of stuff. So they're currently under review. We also got a lot of billing information that changed our revenues significantly. So if you look at the chart I gave you, I'll just kind of explain it a little bit just to make sure it makes sense to everybody. So the top line, the original preliminary, that's the budget I brought to you last time. So that was a 3.62 levy increase and 4.46 tax increase, a typical property increase of $130 a year. So then I went through all of our new information we've received since the last meeting and made all the changes. And so option number 1 is the organic, what organically came out of that. So that's a levy of $253,452, which is a 2.88 levy increase, a tax rate increase of 3.55, and $103 typical property increase. So then from there, I looked to see what do we need to do to get to the 3, the 4, and the 4.5 like council had requested. And that changes the levy by the amounts, and I show the difference in the next column and what that tax rate increase, levy increase, and typical property increase is. So now the changes from the last budget that I brought, ISIP Rural, we have increased the grant funding because we're increasing the project costs. The victim support grant is just an in and an out. That just wasn't, it's already been approved by council, it just wasn't in the budget. Employee benefits, decrease of $50,000 because of the new proposal we received. Jet A fuel, we had budgeted for a significant increase because of the fires, but once we started receiving the fuel slips, we realized it was going to be a lot more than we had anticipated, so I've increased that revenue by $100,000. Tipping fees, same thing. We originally had a project budgeted for a couple hundred loads, and as the billing started to come in and Tyler confirmed with the project manager, those tipping fees are 10 times what they were originally intended to be. So that's added $2 million to the revenue. And it could even be more, but I was hesitant because they were so out in their original estimate that I didn't want to go too crazy.
So do we want to take questions or wait to the end of the presentation to do questions? So what would be
It
easier?
doesn't matter to me.
Oh, well, then if Councillor Stimson has a question.
Yes, thank you very much, Chair Knowles. Okay, what I'm wondering is, all those loads at $1,500 a load, that added up to a lot of money. Where does that money go? Does that go into the general coffers, or does it go into Public Works?
It's going into this budget. So basically,
For what? For Public Works stuff, or for anything else?
well, Public Works is the biggest budget, so pretty much everything goes to Public Works.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm wondering, because I just wanted to make sure that if user fees for anything like the pool and all that goes into the pool's budget, that this money that goes to the dump, that we gain from the dump, I just want to make sure it all stays in Public Works so that they can use that money for whatever they need.
Public Works uses the majority of the tax money.
It should be all of it, really, but it's because it's all due to Public Works stuff. But as long as the majority
We
does.
don't segregate like pool revenue, and I mean, none of the departments make money. So they all rely on the taxpayers in order to.
Oh, how is that? Like, we just made $2 million on tipping fees out there from hazardous waste going from the transfer station.
Tyler's budget is a lot more than $2 million.
Oh, I know, but that's what I'm saying. It should all go to Public Works to use for what he wants, and that's the way it is.
Well, we don't segregate each department because each department needs taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, I know that, but like all the user fees from Director Haney's community services, does it go back into the community services?
Well, yes and no. I mean, community services cost more than what we receive in user fees, as does Public Works, as does the library, as does every department. So, yes, that money is allocated to them, but we have to put more money in.
Yeah, yeah. But if, all I wanted to make sure was that the money that is gained from, or tipping fees goes to Public Works, because that could add up to a lot more money in the near future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Shine, did you have a question?
No.
Thank you. Oh.
I just like to thank you, Chair. And through the chair, I just like to, I don't know if I can help explain. We make $100,000 in jet fuel. All that money from the jet fuel doesn't go to the airport. Okay, just trying to look at things. Sewer revenue, that money, our sewers cost way more, so that helps offset. So the tipping fees helps offset the Public Works budget, but it's just not newfound money for Public Works. When one of the things we went around on, and I was educated on this, was when someone buys a niche at the columbarium for the cemetery, that money goes to the general coffers. And then if we fill that up and we want to buy a columbarium, then we buy a columbarium out of the budget, or we have reserves. But every department doesn't have, because Tyler is getting money from some tipping fees, doesn't mean that all can be spent. It's a $2 million windfall for the Public Works. It all goes into the general coffers, all goes into the general fund, and then the money is divided up to keep other areas going. So it isn't, because they did well, yes, and congratulations and thank you for that, Tyler. And but it all goes to the main cause.
So what you're saying is that some of this money could go and keep the user, to go to community services to keep the user fees down?
It would go to help pay the cost of running those facilities, because the user fees don't cover the money we raise. The user fees we get at the arena does not pay to run the
That
arena.
should tell us something. The user fees aren't high enough. But all I'm saying is, I just wanted to make sure that, I know it's not windfall money that Tyler has to go and blow on something else, but it should save him quite a bit of cuts that he would have to make at this time of the year. That's all I'm interested in.
Yeah, and it did.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Let's move on. Thank you, Brandy. Go ahead.
Okay, so the roads project, we increased $2.3 million based on the information we received from tendering.
So Tyler's $300,000 in the hole then.
I don't even have
Tyler's a lot more in the hole than that.
Easy come, easy go, Tyler.
I don't even have any of this. I don't know.
It's in your agenda.
No,
You click on to budget changes and options in the blue.
I didn't get the update.
Oh, I have a paper copy here. Pass that down.
Councillor Martin? Does anybody else need a paper copy? Now that we're 15 minutes into the discussion.
Yeah, well, I was trying to find it, but
It's all good. Perfect. Everyone's good? We can resume? Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, next was sewer revenue. This was just missed because it's a new thing that we are getting increased revenue for some sewer dumping that we isn't a normal occurrence. Federal gas tax was in the original budget. I took it out, and then reserves for the difference. So basically, whatever option you pick, the difference between that levy and the current levy, the difference will go through reserves.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Clerk. Thank you, Acting Mayor Knowles. Brandy, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused here. You say that the rest, if we pick an option that we need more money, it's going to come out of reserves?
Yes.
Okay, so are you comfortable with that?
Yes.
But you don't like taking anything out of reserves, though?
No, but we were able to reduce what we had to take from reserves originally in the last budget.
And what was that figure? Do you remember? If it's,
I want to say 1.3 million, but
okay, okay.
I'd have to look.
Thank you for that.
Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. So Brandy, are you saying with what you presented here tonight, you're expecting us to pick one of these preliminary things and that's going to be our budget for the year, or are we going to be reviewing the budget at another meeting?
No, so the budget is the same, exact same as we went through last week or last meeting, except for these changes. These are the changes I've made to that budget
Okay.
with the new information.
Thank you. And Councillor Lyons?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. Brandy, I just have a question. I was going through the budget you prepared for last meeting, and I was wondering if any consideration is being given for, say, across the board efficiencies so that the taxpayers aren't carrying the majority of the burden, particularly in discretionary spending, whether it be, say, office supplies, travel, or materials and services.
Yeah, well, that's always an annual discussion. That's
Okay. Yeah, I went through the line by line. I did see, even with, fairly minimal cuts to each of those, because those are very large budget items when you add them up for the various departments. Obviously materials and services will be the greatest expense I would expect for any municipality, but with office supplies at roughly 117,000 and travel at 11,000, or sorry, 108,000. No, sorry, 72.5. That's what it was. Even a 10% cut on those could make a bit of a difference in what the taxpayers and businesses are paying towards some of these costs.
yes, the problem with materials and service and everything is they go up every year. They don't reduce. So in order to reduce, you have to cut services or programs, or because your operations generally are going to go up every year.
Oh, I can certainly appreciate that with materials and services. I was wondering about office supplies and travel. That's a little more discretionary too.
Well, office supplies not really, because you generally use the same amount every year. You can't generally cut back on that. Travel could be cut back, but it depends on the importance of it to your department or to your learning or whatever the case may be. Travel has been way down since COVID really, so it's just starting to kind of get back up to normal numbers.
Yes, thank you, Brandy. Could I ask maybe that administration go back and take a look at 10, 15, and 20% options of reducing those totals and bring that back to council? And compare how that would impact any sort of tax levies that we'd be considering?
10% on what?
10% across the board on materials and services, office supplies, and travel, broken down in those three categories.
Great.
Thank you.
Jason has a comment, and then Mayor Ferguson, did you have a question as well?
No, I was just pointing out that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you. Respectfully, Councillor Lyons, across the board cuts do not work in the sense that when we ask the department heads to come to Brandy, we ask them to already make those cuts. So when you pull out office supplies, it's not, we're not spending, you know, $100,000 on pens and paper. There's a lot of other items that are in there, and typically year over year they're pretty static. As far as travel, yeah, these are discussions, right? That we do, and travel is expensive, absolutely, but we don't. Again, you know, our AMO delegations in Ottawa, we send maybe 2 people. There are municipalities that send their entire councils. You know, we look at, say, Noma, which is in Thunder Bay, and all of council goes there, and I think there's a lot of value in that. So I think it's you have to be cautious to do across the board, you know, reductions by a percentage just to try and get somewhere, because you know, these numbers have proven year over year what they are. It is already a reduced budget. Council's direction at the last meeting was, you know, to look at the percentage of the tax rate increase, and Brandy has done exactly that. Thank you.
Councillor Lyons?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I'd just like to follow up and respectfully to CAO Young as well. Um, uh, Based on some preliminary numbers, you know, what I was looking at was anywhere from 140 to 160,000 in savings. And considering what we would achieve in any sort of levy increases, that's a significant amount. So that's where I'd like that option to be brought forth to council by looking at it. And I'm not talking, you know, pay, benefits, wages, anything like that. Just specifically the discretionary spending, and not capital or operating dollars either. Just specifically those things that could be considered discretionary. Thank you.
Those are operational funds, though. That's what, like materials and service and office supplies are needed to run those departments. So that's part of operation. So that would affect the operations of the department.
I understand that, having worked for over 20 years in government as well. So I would just like to see those numbers brought forth, please.
Any other questions from council just regarding this matter? Oh, Jason? Go ahead, Jason.
So the concern is that, thank you, Chair Knowles. The concern now is at this point, does council want to send Brandy back, do more changes, come back on the 23rd with a further discussion, and then have our budget pass at the end of July? Because, you know, that is the process, right? So we were given direction at the last meeting to come back with some options, which is what Brandy's done. So I'd like to know from all of council what the next steps would be in regards to the budget, and they would like to see in their timeline, please.
Thank you. Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. There's nothing saying that we can't meet before July to get this budget passed. Maybe what needs to happen is Councillor, I want to call her by her maiden name, if she could maybe meet with Brandy and give her a little bit more specifics about what she's looking at. Maybe, I think there's not an understanding of what she's saying and what Brandy's saying. Nothing says we have to do it within 2 meetings.
Jason?
Absolutely. I mean, this is your budget. We can take as long as council absolutely wants with this budget. That's not a problem. But if we're talking about cutting the operations budget just for the sheer fact of just saying, well, we want to do a 10% or an 8% deduction right across the board, I think it's a bit concerning for me, because this is one, you know, with all respect, Councillor Lyons, one councillor, I want to know from all of council, do you want us to find efficiencies in operations versus what Brandy is presenting here today? Because again, if you want to see the travel budget go down, when we can remove travel for mayor, for council, for myself, for any of the staff, to save, you know, $10,000 if that be the case. That is not my recommendation, but again, it is your budget. Thank you.
Councillor Simpson?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I don't know. I'm quite happy with making a choice of one of these options now, today. if you start cutting travel, it's, when you go to things like I only go to Noma, you start cutting that's, it's not that these trips are a shopping spree to go somewhere and do whatever you want. There's a lot of stuff you can pick up, and it's like when we were gonna stop trying to cut down travel when I was on the police service board, all you end up with is this dumb board. They don't go and they don't get anything. I think some of this travel is a necessity. So we made some good headway at NOMA. We had some good meetings with people. I don't think we should be cutting travel for sure. And the office expenses, I'm sure that they're not ordering tons extra of what they need. It goes by, I think they go by what they used last year, and I don't know. I'm a fan of getting an early budget. I've always have been. When Councillor Sally Burns was on, we tried to push for an early budget because I think the people deserve it. And this one hasn't gone without Brandy doing whatever she can. So I'm in favor of oh yeah, right. I'm in favor of going along with this proposal that she just gave us, and we'll choose what we think that the levy should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Chair Knowles, I think that Brandy has given us a pretty good option here, and I believe that we could make a decision on one of those options. Throw the bottom one out, throw the top one out, and pick one of the middle ones.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Mayor Ferguson?
Yes, Chair Knowles. It's just through the chair, I'm just wondering, like, we have options, and I see the option between 2 and 3 is 3% and 4%. Where does the money come from for that 1% reduction? I don't understand. It says $500,000 in reserves, but is it more out of reserves for 3% and less out of reserves for 4%? I don't understand.
Yes. Yeah, so whatever increase or decrease from the 3.55 where we're at now, the difference will come from reserves.
Okay, and a follow-up question, please, Chair Knowles, is can we see what our reserves were last year at this time as opposed to where they are this year at this time?
Well, at the end of 2024, they were at 4.5. And then this budget would, at the 3.55%, would take out 1,068,470.
So we would have $1 million less in reserves at the end of the year?
That's the norm, because at the end of the year, you put your money into reserves, whatever you have left, and then the beginning of the year, for the budget, you take it out. Or take out what you hadn't completed from the prior year. And any additional you need for the budget.
Well, I'm just wondering, like, are we depleting our reserves by going a lower tax rate, or are we maintaining our reserves by going at a lower tax rate? I don't know, because I don't see that. I know we sold property for $275,000 that went into reserves. I don't know where, did that money just go into reserves? Or did it go into an operating fund, or where did that money go?
I don't know what money you're talking about.
Yeah, see, that's where I'm having a hard, because I want to keep the tax rate as low as we can, but I don't want to deplete reserves, so I'm not really getting an answer if we're depleting reserves or not.
Thank you. Jason, you have a follow-up comment?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. Yeah, just yeah, for clarification for Mayor Ferguson, I believe he is alluding to the Hydro lease, the Hydro One leases that we did do last year. The in 2024, I believe we realized $46,000 of that amount. The remainder was included in this year's budget as revenue. So, and in regards to reserves, there is those in and outs, right? And especially when we talk about the federal gas tax and that. So, I think the difference is yes, we want to build up reserves, but there are also a portion of reserves that we do need to use for the annual budget.
And there's money put into reserves at year end that is for projects for this year, like the unfinished projects. So it's meant to come out of reserves in the budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason, you had a follow-up comment?
Yeah, just before we get too far down in the discussion regarding the budget, I do have just to change gears a bit as well. Within the budget, I think I just wanted clarification for council so that they're aware. In our economic development line, there's money in there for beautification, the sign, different matters like that. I have had discussions with Gary at the ADC. And if some councilors remember back in the day with the CINO grant, and the CINO grant was an opportunity for a partnership between the town and the ADC to hire a tourism coordinator. There was a lot of, we had some staffing changes and some challenges in regards to recruitment and retention regarding that position. We are fortunate enough, once again, to have somebody in that position. And built into that budget line is a request from the ADC for the town to fund a portion of the FedNor grant, the CINO grant. And for 2025, that amounts to roughly $8,765. So I just wanted council to be aware that it is, I believe, a 4-year grant right now. There is no commitment from council to fund all 4 years because it is a sliding scale in regards to the percentage that we would have to pay. Last year, we only paid, I think it was just over $500. And this year, like I said, just under 9,000. So we're leveraging FedNor dollars. Historically, the CINO grant was pitched that the tourism coordinator would work with our manager of community services, promote the recreation of the community and so forth. So I think there's still a benefit to the position. And I do recommend council leave those dollars in there and agree to move forward with the town funding for the CINO grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. Brandy, with this budget, is it going to affect the Mackenzie Bridge? Is it going to affect the truck? And how much will we have left in reserves in case an emergency comes up?
So there is money in the budget for the Mackenzie Bridge and the fire truck, and
to complete them? Or we're putting some in there now, put it back into reserves because we don't have enough money?
The bridge is one of the tenders that came out that is under review to see what we are or aren't going to do, but there's money in there to complete some work. The fire truck is in the budget, and the money in reserves is designated for certain things. If you want to change it for an emergency, then it would have to go by resolution.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
Thank you, Lord.
Chair.
Anyways, we got a grant, correct, for 200 for 105,000 a year for 5 years?
Yes.
And two years we're going to go to the bridge, correct?
1 year. We switched it all to the culvert. Originally, it was supposed to go to Bunnell Park and the bridge, but we switched it all to the culvert. So
Okay,
this year we'll go to the bridge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to throw a few words in here, and hopefully we can start to move this ahead a little bit. The option number 1 is what you've provided in the changes, yes, Brandy?
Yeah, that's what organically came out.
Okay, so if that is the amount that council as a whole is looking at, then these are the changes that would necessitate that. If you're looking at any of these other rates, you're looking at some changes to those numbers, and I would assume, and that would be primarily through reserves as well as a small uptick in the levy. Yes?
Yes, depending on what is picked.
Okay, and it's the belief of the department heads as well as yourself that the community continue to function at this level with these changes as presented, and that there wouldn't be a noticeable loss of service, and that the reserves wouldn't take too big a hit.
Yes.
Okay. Given respect to the department heads, and that they always will be trying to, ensure that efficiencies are at the forefront, and that they are doing their job to the best of their ability, as we are quite certain that they are. I am personally happy to support option number 1, and I think as far as the council goes, there's a realization that budgets and actuals are 2 different things. This is our best case scenario, but as we've seen on council, for several terms, that the actuals do change based on the real world circumstances, and there will be things that come along and change what we see throughout the year. This is our best guess as of today. I'm happy to support that, and it would be I think beneficial to everyone involved if we can move forward and hopefully come up with something that we're in general agreement on sooner than later. Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I just want to make a comment. We do have a fairly new councillor on board. This is her first budget thing. I would respectfully request that she still meets with the finance department just to get a better understanding of what she's speaking to. May not benefit our budget this year, but maybe her ideas might be new for next year's budget. I don't want to discourage having a new councillor on board, and then we're not that far from the next election, and we want to recruit new councillors, right? I'm just, to be fair, to get a better understanding of what she's speaking of, and she works for a government, maybe she has a different perspective than us other people that don't do budgets.
Thank you, Councillor Shine. And I don't think any one on council is precluded from those discussions at any time. So
The door's always open.
it is always open. So I think there's opportunity there for that. But as far as encumbering us moving a budget of this size ahead, I think we should probably work to move it ahead as fast as we can. Councillor Johnson?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. My option pick would be number 1 also.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I will go along with number 1.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. Yeah, number 1. And just one other comment. Brandy, is it fair to say that budget, that Tyler has 90% of the budget? I've heard that number kind of kicked around. Is that ballparkish, 85, 90?
I never looked at it that way, but he's definitely got the majority.
Okay, so,
his budget.
okay, okay, so my comment is, I mean, I'm not an accountant. Numbers give me a headache. So I printed out all this from the last meeting, and I like option number 1. I'll get that out right off the bat. But due to the size of Tyler's budget, and a lot of councillors are going to all other committees, which probably account for maybe 10% of the budget, and they're spending 90% of your time going to these other committees when, I don't know what Tyler's got planned for the town. He's going to spend a lot of money. Sounds like bids are coming in a lot higher than expected. I don't think taxpayers have a problem paying an increase if they see value for their money. So to me, that's shovels in the ground. I have no idea what projects you got going. I mean, it would be nice to, be involved in a planning. I don't plan on micromanaging. I just like to know, hey, this is what we're gonna do over the next 4 or 5 years. Sorry to kind of take the, comments away from the budget, but I'd like to be a part of that. It's a huge impact to the town, to the taxpayers, and it would be nice to know what you have in mind for the town, and maybe you send it to us in your reports. I'm not sure. I really don't know what you got in mind, but we're talking some big money, and anyway, that's my comment. I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you, Councilor Martin. Mayor Ferguson?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I didn't think we were voting on the budget today, and further along with what Councilor Martin said, I would like to hear the projects we're doing, because I'm here almost every day, and I don't know the projects that we're doing. I would like to have a presentation on the projects and see where we are spending our money, just so we know. So when people come and ask you what's going on, you say, well, I don't know, never heard. So I would like to have a meeting and get that in the open, because it's all good stuff, and I'm sure it's all very much appreciated what we're doing in town, but we don't know what that is. And also, if with Councillor Lyons going to Brandy's office and talking for an hour, and then Councillor Johnson going and talking, and then Councillor Stimpson going, and then Mayor Ferguson, why don't we sit down and go over this in council for an hour, and everybody gets that same information, everybody has the same input, everybody gets the same message at the same time. That's what I would like to see, open, transparent, put it out there so everybody can see on what we're doing and where we're spending the money and why we're putting this tax rate at this amount.
Thank you. I'll go to Jason.
Sure, yeah, thank you. Just to provide some comments on Mayor Ferguson, just for clarification, when you say we don't know what's going on, I mean, obviously our large projects are, everyone knows what that is. And as far as the budget process, right, I mean, that's where we don't have a lot of this year we do have a lot of big projects, but normally there's not a lot. So I guess for clarification, are we talking about, those big projects that are earmarked in the budget, or are you just talking about, day-to-day operations? Because they're, obviously two very different things.
No, I don't want to hear the day-to-day operations, because we all know that it takes a lot of effort to run the town. I'm just looking when we're seeing, multi-million-dollar projects or million-dollar projects or 500. I just like to know what these projects are going. So I think if we're going to bring a tax increase to the public, and if we can show the public and display that they are getting value for the money, then it might be an easier, less stress for them to accept.
Jason,
if I can just jump in. Yeah, please, if I can. It's important. I think that was done, with all due respect, Mayor Ferguson, the last budget meeting where Brandy had the capital expenditure broken down into all of those projects. We don't do large scale projects without the blessing of council. I think the information is there. I think the questions have to be asked, obviously, if they're unsure or they want more information. But certainly, I don't want there to be an appearance that we're doing this stuff in the background and we're not being clear and transparent. We are bringing that information forward. And then, into regards to your earlier comment, that was from the first budget meeting. I mean, if council wanted to go line by line item, I mean, they absolutely had that opportunity to do that. They didn't want to do that. They gave us clear direction on what they wanted, and that's what finance did bring today. Thank you.
Councillor Shine.
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I think what it is I'm going to be honest about sometimes what I feel is sometimes it seems like we're the old council, the previous council, we attended, say, Public Works, we attended the fire department, we attended the finance thing. I'm wondering are we missing that step of it where we're not feeling updated almost? I'm not talking about, I don't want to know he's going to send 10 guys out to sweep the sidewalks.
Thank you. Councillor Simpson?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. Yeah, back when I was on council before, we had committees, and I was chair of the Public Works, and we'd go to our meeting, and we could ask Tyler anything we wanted about what's going on. I would do a report and bring it back. Then I heard that they got rid of the committees, and when I got back on council, I just assumed that whenever we seen Public Works and Tyler was sitting there, we were free and to ask him any questions we wanted to know. And if we asked him what's going on with O'Brien Street, he would give us a report. So I think maybe sometimes it's because we don't ask the right questions that things are not getting, and people are wondering. We have them here. They attend every meeting, every committee, the whole meeting. I'm sure if we wanted to ask them something, if I wanted to ask Graham how Fire Chief Warburton, how the search for a fire engine's going, he would answer me. It's just, we got to start asking the right questions, I guess, if we want to know the information.
Thank you. Randy, did you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware at the last meeting there was a separate schedule of all the capital projects and the operational projects that are over and above the norm. It was a separate schedule attached to the agenda and also emailed to everybody. Those are the main projects that are being done this year. As for anything else, council at any time can ask for a report on any project to get an update on it, or ask for specific financial information on any project, and ask for that to be put on the agenda at any time. It's council's agenda. So if you feel you're not getting information enough, that's one way it can be done.
Thank you. Appreciate that. In the interest of the time and the way that the agenda is structured, I prefer to keep the discussion purely on the budget itself, and perhaps save the discussions about committees and structures and how we operate, and getting that information moving forward to a later discussion, just in the interest of time and making sure that we stay focused on this discussion. So, Jason, did you have a comment?
I do, thank you. Just a couple of final comments from myself. So Mayor Ferguson had asked about voting on the budget today. He's correct. We're not. Our intent was to get clear direction from council today. Then Brandy has to go back to the tax consultants. They have to do a bunch of work. We have to get the budgets, the bylaws created, and then they would be presented at the 23rd meeting of council. But we can't do that unless we have clear direction from council today. So that is what we're asking for today. My final comment in regards to the budget is I want to make sure that council understands this is a great budget. And I'll tell you why it is for a bunch of reasons. One, we have realized revenue far beyond what we'd anticipated, which really made this process in the 11th hour a lot easier than we had anticipated. But more importantly, I think council needs to be very happy and proud of the fact that we are going to be spending, and we are spending, millions and millions of dollars in our infrastructure this year. We are hopefully by the end of this year finally going to have a brand new fire truck, which Chief Warburton has been requesting for many years. There are a lot of good things happening in this budget. We're very fortunate, and we've got some good projects hopefully coming forward. And we're fortunate this year that there was some revenue that we realized some revenue that did help us, keep the tax rate increase considerably low. So I want council to be proud of this budget and the work that's going to be done this year. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to bring it back to, as Jason had said, getting some direction for Treasurer Coulson to move forward on a direction, to have some instruction to work with, so that when it does come time to vote on this budget, that we're not spinning our wheels here with discussion, and just making sure that everything's moving forward, that she has a point to move and a general number, and that will allow the discussions and any sort of efficiencies that might come through discussions to improve that number even further. So I've heard from a number of councillors about their preferred option. If any of the councillors or Mayor Ferguson hasn't spoken yet, if you have a preference, just to move things forward a bit. Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I would say maybe we need to call for a recorded vote. That way we're giving him, no, sorry, her, clear how we want her to move ahead.
Is that in agreement? Councillor Shine, what are you hoping that the result will be?
That we're going to have a consensus. Like, I'm going to vote number one, you're going to vote number one. It's, you know, like.
Okay. Mayor Ferguson?
Well, thank you, Chair Knowles. I think it has to be majority of council has to accept something. And I agree with Councillor Shine's comment on a recorded, to come prepared for a recorded vote on the tax increase that you want to put forward. Personally, I would like to see option 2 at 3%, but if people want to raise taxes higher than that, then I'd like a recorded vote so that is public knowledge on the councillors that put their hand up for a higher increase.
Thank you, Mayor Ferguson. Councillor Lyons, did you have anything to add as well?
I would have to agree with Mayor Ferguson, especially with this unrealized revenue that we're receiving. And, you know, my belief that we should, like I had stated earlier, we should find efficiencies from within.
Sorry, Councillor Lyons, your connection cut out there towards the end.
Oh, my apologies. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Just that in light of the unrealized revenue that we found, I'd be in favor of option 2.
Brandy?
Just a reminder to council, when it comes to our asset management plan, the recommendation is 3.4 each year just for capital, not including operations.
Thank you. So, I believe we've heard from everyone. My sincere apologies if we haven't. So what would be the next steps then? Would that have to take place at the council meeting?
We don't have anything on the agenda, but from what I've heard 4 councillors already say that they wanted option 1. So to me, that's a majority right there. But I mean, if you want a recorded vote, we can add something to the council meeting after this and do a recorded vote if you want.
Councillor Johnson?
To move on, thank you, Chair Knowles. I would like us to take our clerk's recommendation and bring something to the next council meeting after this one and have a recorded vote if that's what your wishes are.
Absolutely.
So I guess we're going to have to discuss what you guys would like on the resolution.
Is that something we are required to do right now? You're looking at me like it is. So.
Well, I mean, we can add it to the agenda and we can discuss it there and then maybe come up with a thing. Okay?
Great.
Sorry, just kind of to clarify, like if we have 4 councillors that are looking at option 1, then we bring a resolution for option 1 and we have a recorded vote on if we accept that or not.
Seems fair. So we'll be able to have something drafted up then for the council meeting? Excellent. I like that. Go get 'em spirits. Okay. In the meantime, then we will put this matter to bed if there's no further comments, and move on to other business. Councillor Lyons, request National Indigenous History Month.
Yes,
Floor is
thank you,
yours.
Chair. Thank you, Chair Knowles. Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to speak about the importance of formally recognizing National Indigenous History Month and particularly National Indigenous Peoples Day. So June's a time across Canada to honor the histories, cultures, and contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. And it's also a chance for us all to learn more about Indigenous experiences, both past and present, and recognize the strength and resilience of Indigenous communities. June 21st is National Indigenous Peoples Day, and it falls also on summer solstice, which is a culturally significant time for many Indigenous people. It's a day of gathering, ceremony, and renewal. So it's also a time to celebrate Indigenous languages, knowledge, and achievements. So as a community located in Treaty 3 territory, it's meaningful and appropriate for Atikokan to formally recognize these commemorative dates. And this recognition supports reconciliation and shows our respect for the rights, histories, and cultures of the First Nations Métis people we share this land with. So at our council meeting, I'm hoping that we can bring forward a resolution as a small but important step in building stronger, more respectful relationships with Indigenous communities.
Thank you, Councillor Lyons. Any questions from Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair Knowles. I totally agree with what Councillor Lyons has brought forward, because when we were doing our strategic plan, it kept coming up. We need to learn to work with the Indigenous communities that are in our surrounding area to build up connections with them. But yet we are one of the few councils in this area that does not even do a land acknowledgement. And as somebody that's Indigenous, I kind of find it insulting.
Noted, Councillor Shine. Councillor Simpson.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm in favor of this, but, you know, we gotta realize that if there's any Polish people, May's their month, September is Ukrainian month, June's Italian heritage, March is Persian, January it's Tamil heritage, March is Francophone heritage, April is Sikh, May is Asian heritage, and May is also Jewish heritage, and June is Filipino. These all are recognized heritage months of Ontario, and just, I know, I agree with what we're doing. But we just got to keep it in mind that if somebody comes and asks about one of these other ones, we have to do it too, because you look at the Ukrainians, they kept, and the Filipinos are keeping Sapawi going. We've got some people that own the newsstand, their business people, the grocery store. So we got to remember everybody when, if we're going to do it for one, you know, I guess they have to request it, but that's all I want to say. But I do agree with this Aboriginal heritage.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Any other comments from council? Hearing none. What are our next steps? I didn't hear anybody disapprove of it.
We have a resolution that we're going to present at the council meeting. That's under, I think, under business.
Thank you very much, Clerk Bates. Moving on, we have a resolution to go in camera, and we will resume our online portion for the general public when we come out of in camera, as well as move into general council meeting. So I have a resolution moved by Councillor Johnson, seconded by Councillor Martin. Resolved that this council committee proceed in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.